Salutations, fellow traveler, and welcome back to Pondering the Orb, a series where I talk about my Patreon content. Episode 2, The Machine Tide. Yeah, I decided to make this video series. I talked about it already, but I'm just going to be talking about my Patreon releases. So today I'm going to be talking about The Machine Tide. The Machine Tide is a group of self-help advocates and demon worshippers that are obsessed with replacing all weak flesh with perfected steel. The cult includes artificers, tinkerers, workshop enthusiasts, anyone who's interested in metalworking, artificial life, constructs, or even just kind of life extension. A lot of people get in with this cult because they want a big cool robot arm, or they want to live forever, or they're interested in creating new life through constructs. And all of them worship the demon Necron, who is a tech demon. He hails from another dimension, or possibly another time, a place where machine life was common and flesh life basically didn't exist at all outside of like rats and stuff. So Necron had come to this dimension and found it needed a lot more machine life, and he started blessing and creating. And eventually his efforts caught the attention of a bunch of people who started worshiping him, and that's what the machine cult is. The goals of the cult are pretty simple. They're obsessed with furthering the science of, mechanics. They want to understand how to better craft golems, enhance limbs, replace flesh with steel, or create life forms that are true life, but made out of machines and steel instead of flesh. One of Necron's goals is to create an army of mass-producible cyber demons that he can use to subjugate the whole world. If the party's getting involved with the Machine Tide, maybe it's adversarial. Maybe the Machine Tide is trying to turn someone into a robot, or trying to destroy a whole city with a newfound robotic power. Or, you might have the Machine Tide be less adversarial. Maybe one person in the party wants to get a cool robot limb or some sort of cybernetic enhancement. The cult is also active in big cities, so if you just kind of want a quick scuffle or fight, members of the machine cult might be a great option to throw in your campaign. Necron was inspired by Doom. Doom has these kind of cyber demons, these kind of massive minotaur-like demons that have cybernetic enhancements and limbs and kind of attached guns on their body. That's kind of the inspiration I had for Necron. So Necron's this giant humanoid demon that's body is studded with mechanical and cybernetic enhancements. He's got these big enhanced claws on his body, and his legs are composed of these interwoven metal cables that can untangle and form like tentacles if he wants to float around and grasp and grapple a lot of enemies at once. He also has the power to evolve machine life with his touch, or just reduce flesh to a quivering puddle. So if he touches a human, he could just destroy the human. Or if he touches a machine, he can instantly evolve that machine, kind of like the Allspark from Transformers. And Necron's really powerful, and he gives out his gift a lot. He gives advice to a lot of his cultists. He gives occult and forbidden knowledge that they can use to power themselves up. And he just will give people magic items and cybernetic enhancements because he knows it's going to pay off. He knows it'll get more people involved with the cult, and they'll work for him and they'll kind of do his bidding. It's a pretty nice exchange for the cultists. The cult itself is broken up into kind of three groups. There's the meat and potatoes cultists themselves. They kind of all have enhanced themselves and fall in with the philosophy of the cult, which is everything should be one, all machines are perfect, and they move in perfect harmony. And so as a result, they kind of all talk the same. They talk at the same time, kind of in unison. It's very unsettling. And they seem robotic with their movements, almost zombie-like. There's also a group that they call the Oilers, like oiling a machine or something. The Oilers are collaborators and merchants, people that supply members of the cult or help them out, but don't consider themselves part of the cult. These people aren't going to be talking like robots or anything. Then lastly, there's the machine life. The machine life is, machines, robot life creations of Necron and the cultists, and it's extolled as the highest version of life, So even though the cult is very powerful, they all worship all machines, and what they're doing is in service of creating a better world for these machines, as much as that might destroy the planet for everyone else. When you see Necron, you're actually not seeing him himself. You're seeing an aspect of Necron because he has such command over flesh and machines that he can essentially clone himself and put his consciousness in that clone. And that way he can exist in the world without risking his own life. So yeah, there's stats for kind of monsters and members of the cult, and aspect of Necron is one of them. He's really tough. And if you kill him, that doesn't necessarily mean Necron's dead forever. It's just one of his aspects. So there's 5 monster stat blocks. There's the Awakened, the Golem Fist Enforcer, the Machine Tide Mob, the Cybrid, and the aspect of Necron. The Cybrid is kind of what I talked about, these cyber demons that Necron was hoping to mass produce. He's made a couple. These are kind of prototypes. They don't work right, but they can be really destructive, and each new one that's created is one step closer to Necron's ultimate goal, you know. Cybrids have the intelligence of a small child and the violent tantrums of one too, but being like these 15-foot tall monsters with gun arms, you know, that could be really dangerous. The Machine Tide Mob is kind of, if you want to fight a big group of the cult, that's how they fight. They form this formation that's kind of in the shape of a gear, which each tooth of the gear is like a Golem Fist Enforcer, and they can, you know, use their powerful punches, and they can also take hits for the interior cultists, which can cast spells or shoot guns and stuff. So it's this very tight formation that is very defensive and efficient. If you find, you know, you're a couple random cultists, they might be, you know, just cultists like from the monster manual, plus a couple Golem Fist Enforcers. These are basically just cultists with the ability to punch really hard with these kind of Golem Fists. That's why they're Golem Fist Enforcers. And lastly, there's the Awakened. These are machine life forms, so the cult worships them. They're kind of the highest form of life, you know. The Awakened are very strange and chilling creatures. They're kind of like metal skeletons a little bit. They have these cone-shaped heads, and they project lightning fields, and they throw themselves at the enemy with reckless abandon as if they want to die. And there's not just monsters, you know, they love to enhance their own bodies. So I've included a list of enhancements that you can add to the monsters, or you can actually offer as kind of similar to magic items, kind of enhancements that the cult might be able to provide for the party, you know. You could get acid blood or an adamantine skeleton. You could have a panic weapon that pops out of your body, or, you know, a bomb that goes off when you die. There's the Senti machines, which are kind of like nano machines, but a lot bigger. They'll repair you as you start to fall apart. And you could get like a speaker implanted into your throat that allows you to scream a deafening, stunning scream. You know, this is just a few examples of the kind of enhancements that are included in the release. There's some adventure hooks. So if you want to add the Machine Tide to your party, it's like, are they enemies? Is the party's trying to save someone that had taken in with the cult? Is it trying to stop the cult's death machine, like a giant robot that's destroying the town, you know? Or are they allies or neutral? Is someone hoping to get a robot limb, but they want some protection before they deal with this mysterious cult? Or, you know, maybe they find themselves in the same goal as the cult, and they want some obscure knowledge and have to seek out Necron himself. And the last part is this dungeon. It's like, if you want to go fight the Machine Tide in their base of operations, you'll find this kind of inverse tower that can be reached in the sewers beneath a city somewhere, because the Machine Tide operates in the shadows of larger cities, anywhere where scrap yards or metal parts can be found. So if the party wants to assault the cult, they will go to the base and find themselves in this inverse tower, which is protected by gravity magic, and it goes downward, but everything's upside down, and it's confusing and fun. There's metal turrets, there's cultists, there's, you know, Awakened that are guarding access to the top floor of the tower, and on the top floor of the tower is where the ritual is being held. Maybe they're trying to, you know, revive Necron's true form. Maybe they're trying to summon an army of cybrids or magically construct a bunch of cybrids using secret mechanical means. Maybe they're trying to just convert the tower into a giant death machine that they're going to use to rampage over the whole city if they're not stopped. Maybe they're just trying to find a PS5, you know, trying to open a portal into the real world to pull the ultimate gaming device. So yeah, that's the Machine Tide. It's a 13-page release. You know, there's these wombo.art images. I think it looks pretty cool, you know. I hope you'll check it out. I think the cult and other releases in my Patreon series can be a lot of fun if you use them in your campaigns, you know. Let me know what you think. If you have any ideas for stuff I should make, or kind of changes, maybe balance fixes, let me know. I think it could be good. This stuff could get really crazy and awesome, you know. That's why I'm doing this, is because I just think it's so fun to add more to this game, you know, more kind of interesting, silly, offbeat stuff. So that's Pondering the Orb. Don't let me know what you think. Cash checks. Get money. Edward.
Star Wars is a really big deal. I think it's actually real. Han Solo, he's my dad. Star Wars is not a fad.